In this video, I want to take a few minutes or so to kind of give you a little rundown as far as another step as far as getting prepped to leave on our long trip. We've had some relatively warm weather in Michigan the last couple of days after we had quite a bit of snow, and since it's kind of dried up, or I should say melted away, we've got an opportunity to kind of get some things done in preparation to take off on our trip to Florida in about 3 weeks. One of the things I've done is I've moved the trailer over about 6 feet off of its normal parking spot, and I put it all on my slab or on my driveway so it's got a good level spot. After moving the camper so all 4 tires are sitting on the driveway, it gives me better access, and so I can fill up my tires, make sure they got full pressure. I also treated my slides as well as the slide seals to make sure those are all prepped and ready to go. Also gave me an opportunity, since the slides were out during the last few snows and also the leaves, I got a chance to clean that off as well. While doing the inspection on the tires and bringing up the pressures up to a winter inflation, since they were a lot lower from before, I noticed that I've got a problem with one of my sensors on my left front tire on the camper, and so I've got that pulled off. I'm going to get a new battery and then resync it in with the monitor, so when I'm driving down to Florida, I'll have sensors on all 4 tires. Also, since we had the warm weather, I took the time to pull out my storage container that has my hoses and cables and all my connectors for the hoses, just to make sure I had everything in there and that everything was stowed properly. Also kind of straightened up the basement so there's everything's accessible and it's relatively neat. One of the things I'm going to have to do before we leave is I'm going to have to top off my propane cylinders. I know I do have one completely empty 30-pound cylinder, and then the other one, I've got that hooked up yet, and I want to top that off since I've been using it for supplemental heat on the inside of the camper. If you notice on the bottom, this is the way I usually store the camper, and it works out quite well. I have a couple of blocks, of course, underneath my jack, and that gives it a little bit better stabilization. Also, I've got my leveling bars or weight distribution bars just kind of hanging off of each hook that it normally sits on when it's hooked up. That makes it rather easy as far as storage, and easy for me to get to as well. On the other side of my basement access, which goes all the way through to the other side, I've got some extra blocks. Also, I have my 18 volt drill, and that's permanently used for just raising and lowering my stabilizing jacks. As a note, you want to make sure that you only use a power drill, you don't use a hammer drill. By using a hammer drill on your stabilizers, that's going to cause a cross-threading, and you'll end up replacing your jacks in a very short period of time. Don't ask me how I already know that. Also, on the inside of the compartment, I have stowed my manual handles or manual cranks for my stabilizer jack as well as my tongue jack. That's just in case I lose any power. Also kind of stowed away, and I've got them all retained with rubber bands so they don't flop around. But I have a small axe, and then on the inside of the camper, or in the storage area, I also have my grill. While checking on my tires, I also took time to double check my spare to make sure that was in good condition, and also the pressure was at a proper level where I could replace the other tire if need be. When I'm not towing a trailer and I've got the hitch off, a good place for me to put it during storage is I just take my combination hitch and I put that on the back of the bike rack along with the little handle that I use to makes it easier to carry that hitch. Another thing that I've done, which I did a few weeks ago, and it's really worked out rather well, is I sprayed my steps with WD-40. They were getting pretty stiff and hard to raise and lower without an awful lot of effort. So after treating them with a little bit of WD-40, it works out good. Since it is wintertime and we will be traveling in cold weather, I have got the vent inserts to help keep this place a little bit warmer and less drafty. I know I've shown this before, but I've just been adding to the containers and just tweaking things up a little bit more in my cabinets, just so things are ready to go. When I'm getting ready to travel, especially on a long trip, it's not just like I just hook up the camper and go like I can do it in the summertime at the spur of the moment. When we're getting ready to go on a longer journey for a long period of time, I take some extra time just to get things prepped up, make sure there's stuff on board that I have to have, as well as things that I don't need. I make sure that those stuff comes off. Again, I have my top cabinets over the chairs all organized with the most important things that I can get to rather easily. Below the cabinets, I've already got the chair stowed and the slide in, so it is ready to go. And also with that chair in position, if I have to push the slide out or bring it in for whatever reason, I can do so. And it's just all ready to go. So the other chair, that's where I always keep my just regular extension cord, and that I probably will only use if we go into a location where we have power and we're just going to be in a campsite rather than boondocking. When I'm boondocking and I've got my 50-foot extension cord, then I keep in the back of the truck. That way I can plug it right into the generator and it runs right to the back of the camper, and I can plug it in from there. I don't have to open up the camper to start it up. Also, we just have a little vacuum cleaner in here. That's just for getting things ready, because we're always tracking things in and out. And as we're loading it up and configuring it and just kind of getting things ready, we come in and out of this thing quite often. And so that just kind of keeps the leaves and the dirt out. Fridge is still empty yet because we're going to wait until closer to departure time when we actually fill this up and get it ready to go. As we find we don't have the need for things inside the house, we'll be loading it up. The freezer, I still got a few things in here and a little bit of organization, not much. But this is getting ready to fill up. We're doing some things that we're like freezing and getting ready to pack in here. Like for instance, we're going to have some goulash and a couple of things that we've got frozen in a flat bag so that it'll stack inside the freezer. And then when we get to a boondocking location, we just take it out and boil it right on the stove. And also, if we want to, we've got the generator and we can thaw it out rather quickly in the microwave. I also have my little portable heater. That's on all the time. Doesn't use an awful lot of juice. It's a lot better than burning off propane, and it keeps the temperature inside the camper right around 50 to 55 degrees when it's below 30 degrees or below freezing outside. That way I can keep my water, canister filled and stowed. I don't have to worry about that freezing up. Anything that's inside the cabinets, those are all maintained, or I don't have to worry about those getting cold or spoiling for whatever reason. Just kind of keeps things at a little bit better even keel. I have a couple of batteries sitting on the chargers. For no other reason but to keep them out of the garage so they don't get frozen as well. Not much more to say about the storage in the bedroom. We've just basically got everything all set and ready to go. I just got to add one more pillow that I'll throw next to the TV set, and that's just because I happen to like the pillow that I use on the inside of the house, and so I'm going to bring that along with me. It's one of those my pillows, and I kind of sleep better with that. I did a little bit of rearranging up on top where I moved a lot of my socks and t-shirts and that sort of thing, above the storage or above the bed, and it gives me a little bit more room inside the closet. It's a little dark in there right now, but at least you kind of get the idea. Another reason why I want the slides in here right now is, like I said, this is December 3rd in Michigan. And in order to keep any snow or more leaves, anything that's left on the trees yet, from landing on top of the slides where I have to clean them off in colder weather, I got the slide stored on the inside. And that way I don't have to get out there in the cold just to get them cleaned off before I bring them in. Bathroom is all set and ready to go. A few loose things I've got off the countertop, and those are in the medicine cabinet. Of course, we've got the towels. Those are hanging up. Nothing really to do with that. And then also, just like on the vent in the back, I've got the insulator in the fan up here in the bathroom as well. On the floor, one of the things that we have that works out rather nice is we do have a bath mat. Kind of dries off our feet, keeps the floor a little bit warmer. And then I've got another old bath mat that we had, and that's just rolled up and stuffed between the shower and the lower cabinet. Kind of helps keep things dry, so if there's any spillage, water doesn't get down on that little spot. And I don't get any rot that way. Just as a follow-up, the new thermostat is working well. I've tested it a few times. Every once in a while I'll come in here and turn it on just to give the heater and the air conditioner a little workout, make sure everything is kind of running fine before we leave. But the thermostat's working great, so I'm very pleased with it. Another little follow-up or update on my one of my most recent upgrades is my indoor-outdoor thermometer, which is working pretty well. Especially since I moved my outdoor sensor to a different location, I'm getting more accurate readings. Time isn't right. I've got to readjust that, but the date, which is December 3rd, is all up to speed, and I'm feeling pretty comfortable about this new device that I have. This is something else I not only do with my truck, but I also do it with the camper as well. And that's to have a binder with all my receipts and all kinds of pertinent information other than the manuals. I've got a little checklist that I made up. It's pretty much done by heart now, but it's something that Marilyn and I find rather useful. We have a pre-trip interior checklist as well as a pre-trip exterior checklist. That's what I use myself. She does the inside, I do the outside, but it's just to make sure that we have all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed before we leave. Also has just information as far as dimensions, the slide out sizes, the weights, the capacities, just general information, because sometimes at my age my memory doesn't work quite so well. I also keep any receipts that I've got, right from the time I bought the camper to any time I've done any work on it. I also have my title transfers or title information, license information, as well as my title itself. And and then a lot of times I'll throw in my trip planner in here so that everything is in a nice, neat little folder. So if I have to, I know right where to get it. Like I said before, I also have a a separate container where I keep all of my manuals all together. And then I have another container for travel information. So as we travel and go into different parks or see different landmarks or places of interest that we may want to go back to, we'll grab that information and throw it inside that little container so everything's kind of ready and handy. Also on the very top, I have a Grzini's RV World catalog. And what I've got for that, and that's basically from Campers World. But with that catalog, that gives me easy reference for parts that I may need. I can look something up in the catalog and then go online to like Amazon.com or wherever and see if I can find it cheaper, or have it delivered to me at a quicker timeline. So I was having some problems recording my closing message, and if I can't get it corrected, I think I may be using this one. So basically what was happening is the camera kept jumping in and out of focus, so I'm giving it a shot again. Basically all I really wanted to do is to take this moment just to thank a lot of you people who've been watching my videos. They've only been going up for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and as those of you who have been watching noticed, they have been improving somewhat. But I would love to hear from anybody if they've got any suggestions as far as how I can improve the video quality or the content, of my videos, or anything else I can do to improve them. Also, I really encourage comments, as well as if you do like them, just go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. So in closing, not only if you like it, hit the thumbs up button, but if you haven't already, please subscribe. And once again, and most of all, thanks for watching.